the ammunition bill in California.
Yeah, okay.
This bill actually passed the House by a very small margin, so this is something that we're certainly concerned about. What this would do would be require that all purchasers of ammunition register with a thumbprint at point of purchase if you're purchasing more than 50 rounds of ammo for handguns. This is concerning to gun owners and folks who are interested in shooting as a hobby, because every single box of ammunition that anyone buys would require registration. Again, fundamentally, the National Rifle Association is against any kind of registration. But in addition to that, think about the folks who are instructors and they're giving ammunition to their students. If you transfer more than 50 rounds of ammunition to any student, you would not only have to be a licensed vendor, but you would also have to register each one of your students that participated in your class. This is something that the National Rifle Association will fight tooth and nail against. However, it did pass the House and will be heard in the Senate shortly. This is something that folks need to get on their phone and call their representatives, call their state senators, and make sure that those folks know what the reality is about this bill. It'll do nothing to reduce crime, but what it does do is create a government-owned database of law-abiding people, which is something the National Rifle Association could never and will never support.
Right. Well, let me see if I'm clear on this. Now, if you and I are in California and I want to give you 50 rounds of ammunition, how is that going to affect that?
If you want to give me 50 rounds of ammunition, to legally transfer that ammo, you would have to be a licensed ammunition vendor.
Okay.
And I would have to register with my thumbprint.
Okay.
In order to receive that.
Okay. Let's go
legally.
Let me go on to situation number 2.
For everyone to follow the law,
right.
That's how that process would have to occur. Yep. In addition to that, all internet ammunition sales would be banned. So you wouldn't be able to go into Cabela's website, you wouldn't be able to go into Bass Pro's website to purchase ammunition, because every single ammunition sale would have to go through a face-to-face transaction.
Okay, now the second situation is, and I know many of us, including myself, have gone by some of the large discount stores and purchased ammunition. How is that going to affect that?
A lot of the large discount stores will have to be, if they're transferring ammunition, they will have to be a licensed vendor. And you will have to register you have to register with every purchase. So if you're buying one box of handgun ammunition that is more than 50 rounds, you have to register.
Okay. So am I going to have to be required to give a thumbprint at
Yes.
Walmart?
Yes.
Really?
Yep.
So this bill actually is going to impact every sale, no matter what, in California.
It will, on handgun ammunition.
On handgun. Okay, it's only handgun.
Only handgun.
Okay. All right. Well, there's another California bill we're going to have to deal with, but it hasn't passed yet, right?
It has not. We're at the 50-yard line. It passed the House, but again, I want to remind folks that this was a very small majority. It barely passed the House, and it's in the Senate now. So, we want to make sure that bills like this don't move any further. We're at the 50-yard line, and we need to push back.
Right. So we need to kill it right now, if at all possible, before it goes any further. All right. Let's go on to a second bill now. The second bill has something to do with my right to carry in restaurants or in a bar. I believe that takes place in Tennessee.
In Tennessee.
Right, in Tennessee.
In my home state.
That's right. It is your home state.
Just to make sure that everyone knows.
Yeah. Okay. We're not going to say anything.
I'm very happy to report that earlier in the week, Governor Bredesen vetoed the restaurant carry bill that would allow law-abiding people who have their right to carry permits to defend their family or to defend themselves in restaurants, also restaurants that serve alcohol. Now, I want to point out that it is already illegal to consume alcohol and be in possession of a firearm, so that is not an issue.
Okay, good.
But the governor did veto it. Right. Now, the House and the Senate, both by overwhelming bipartisan majority, overrode the governor's veto. This is great news in Tennessee. This is great news for other states who want to consider restaurant carry or strengthening their right to carry laws. There are already 35 states that allow restaurant carry, and there's never been a problem. That's because right to carry folks, those who have their concealed carry permits, are of the most law-abiding in this country. So this is a great win for us. I'm very proud of the state legislature in Tennessee to override that veto. I also want to point out that Governor Bredesen actually ran in 2006 on a restaurant carry platform.
Oh, yeah, well, probably many people didn't know that. But let me see if I get a clear understanding now. I just want to go over it one more time for those folks out there, that if I have a right to carry bill, assuming this is going to be passed, I can go into a bar or restaurant with my gun, but I can't drink. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay.
You cannot, the state law in Tennessee is that you may not consume alcohol and be in possession of a firearm.
And that's already on the books.
That's already on the books.
That's already on the books. Okay, so that is not an issue here.
That is not the issue. Absolutely not.
Okay. All right, good.
You know, and in addition to that, if restaurants choose to opt out, all they need to do is post signs that guns are not allowed into their restaurant. Now, if something were to happen and someone was injured because they were prevented from defending themselves, then the restaurant could then be held civilly liable for any kind of damage that was done at that point. But again, if restaurants want to opt out of this, they have that freedom to do so. But we want folks to be able to protect themselves. There was an incident in Tennessee earlier this year where a man was at a restaurant. His wife had a right to carry permit, but she was prevented from carrying her firearm, and her husband actually was shot and killed. So it was a tragic story, and things like this laws like this could have prevented that tragedy from happening.
Okay, well, let's go back out to California again, because what's going on out there about something to do with the Cow Palace and how they do gun shows? Tell me about that.
That's right. I feel like we're dealing with banning gun shows at Cow Palace each session out in California. They've been trying to do this for a really long time. What they want to do is, you know, the Cow Palace is on state property, and the state receives a whole lot of money from the gun shows that occur on that property. However, San Francisco wants to ban all gun shows that occur on the Cow Palace fairgrounds. Actually, they have amended the bill to suggest that there would be no more than 5 gun shows per year, because the state realized that they receive about $200,000 a year in revenue from gun shows held at this property, and we all know that California doesn't really have a lot of room to deny revenue.
Right, right. Well, I've actually been to the gun shows out there, and it's a great event. Now, what I'm concerned with it, though, and follow me on this, that if they pass that bill, you know, that you cannot have a gun show on publicly owned property, isn't that a stair step for the entire state?
That is exactly right. You know, we don't want folks to be able to come in and arbitrarily ban gun shows. That's why this is such a big deal. If this bill passes, then that gives the anti-gunners in California more footing to ban gun shows all across the state. We don't want this to happen. These are civic great events for people to go and celebrate their Second Amendment freedoms. Gun shows are very important to not only the gun industry, but to a gun culture in this country, and so it's something very important that we want to preserve. This is a step in the wrong direction for California and California gun shows. Now, this did pass the Senate. It only passed by 1 vote, so we need to get on the phone again and call both the House on this bill and the Senate on the previous bill that I discussed. It's important for California gun owners to get out there. Again, we're only halfway through this battle, and we need to fight harder.
Right, and you know, California's on the front line out here. I mean, we're getting beat up pretty hard out here, so we need to stay tuned to this. And I appreciate you, reminding us, Rachel, of some of the things that we need to stay up on. I know you do a good job on mailings. I know there's the 1-minute NRA report that some of us get on our computers. But, you know, I can't thank you enough, because people, you know, they have a tendency to get involved in their own personal problems and they forget. So thank you very much, Rachel, for coming on.